There we go. Looks like we're just tuning up right now. There we go. Hey everybody, this is the Brownie Postgame midweek Mike's Hump Day show. I don't think we've officially named it anything quite yet, but this is going to be our week to week midweek rant show where we talk about things going on. This happens to be Steelers week. We're off to a 4-1 start. Lots of good, happy things going on. With me, as always, is Mike Ristano, a.k.a. at Bonzo1273 on Twitter. Mike, how's it going, man?
It's going, man. It's Steelers week.
Big week. It is big week. 4-0 Steelers, 4-1 Browns. We haven't won in Heinz Field since Tommy Maddox was the quarterback in 2003. I couldn't believe that. I actually saw that. I think they were talking about that on the NFL Network, and I was like, no way. I was like, we had to have beaten them once, in the past like 17 years. But no, we've never beaten Roethlisberger in Heinz Field.
And for us old heads, you hear 2003 and you think, it's not too bad. And then you're like, wait a second, no, 2003 was like forever ago.
Right.
17 years forever ago. So, it's interesting that we talk about 4 in a row because I literally shaved right about what I like to call shaved.
Okay.
Nice and close. For the Ravens game. We got our doors blown off, and then I didn't touch the razor since. So now we got 4 in a row. I literally was gonna take it down a little bit the other day.
Okay.
And then I thought, I can't jinx this. So I was like, you know what? I'll just get rid of the neck hair, trim up around the stash. And then again, I thought, but wait a second, like that could be the jinx. So here I sit, and hopefully, it grows out for the next how many weeks?
Dude, I'm the same way. I always wear a jersey on game day. I wake up, yep. First thing I do, put on a jersey, pick one out. Usually my Baker Color Rush, but I've also noticed that we weren't doing well. And so I just wear the Sabo apparel shirt. I've got a couple of them, or one of the GV art shirts that I've got. Those work the best. Homage shirts are also really good, but I don't think I can wear a jersey anymore during the game because I feel the same way. I feel like there's some sort of like vibe or jinx that goes along with it.
Trust me, I get it because I literally. This is terrible. Terrible thing to say as a grown adult. But I mean, I literally have the same. We'll call it an outfit. I'm sure I'll get a little bit of shit for that, but an outfit we'll call it.
Okay.
That I can't move away from for 4 weeks, and I'm talking about not only the OBJ socks and the orange training camp shorts, which actually were Elliot Wolf's.
Really?
Yeah. It was like a charity or whatever. But and the Color Rush jersey, but and a specific hat. But I'm talking down to the underwear. Like I got
same ones.
Same underwear too. So,
do you have the Baker underwear? The PSD ones?
Again, as a grown ass man, I do.
Okay.
Which I'm kind of maybe a little embarrassed to say, maybe not. But I will say. They haven't come out of the package. I have them, but I have not worn them.
I got them. So when I saw that they,
you wore them, didn't you?
I do wear them quite a bit. And the reason why, like I remember on Reddit, I saw that they were like they went up and then they sold out like instantly.
Yeah.
So then somebody saw that they were back in stock on Reddit, and I bought them like the second they came out, and then it took like a month or two for them to get here. So they were such small batch.
The anticipation.
It just took forever. And then I've since gone back to that same company. I bought several new pairs. They're expensive though. They're like $20-$30 a pair of boxer shorts, right? So I'm trying to slowly replace, a generation of underwear with the new higher quality ones. But so far I've got a NASA pair, Freddy Krueger,
Very nice.
Rick and Morty, and then I got my Baker Mayfield. I have 4. And they're great.
You're the matching T-shirt away from the underoos.
Yeah, you're right. Well, I have the shoes. I don't think I have any brown socks.
You got to get the socks.
I know. I think about that quite a bit because every once in a while I'll see them on Twitter. Somebody I think Gabby was blasted out a pair, and I'm like, I should probably get some brown socks.
I think I think I posted a picture on there recently, last week. I think with the brown. I'm gonna take a peek. If I find it, I'll retweet it.
Yeah, please do.
But I'm almost certain I took a picture of the OBJ socks.
I want to know in chat, everybody in chat, do you guys have a specific outfit, or do you think flies are lucky? Do you not wash your jockstrap? Yeah, I think that's really, dude. I think for what's going on this year, if we can be 4-1 and not even usually if we're 4-1, we're the team that gets the pandemic hits hard, right? like we haven't even been hit by COVID positive COVID test yet, which is a miracle in itself. Having remember the whole staph infection, medical room back in the day, the whole freaking.
Who do you call it? The wide receiver that started with. Why can't I think of his name?
Yeah, the guy from Miami.
Oh my God, what's his name?
I keep thinking it was Rubisky, but it wasn't.
No, great slot receiver. I can't think of his name though.
I know. I have to go back.
We got him at the end of his career.
But still, very good. A good possession guy. Ohio State guy, I think.
Yes.
Chad, who was the Chad? Somebody Google it real quick. Who was the wide receiver that week? Because we actually gave staph infection, I think, to a couple guys. Which is, oh God,
not JuJu Vicious.
It's Brian. Was it JuJu Vicious? No, it wasn't JuJu Vicious. Stalwart, no. Started with an S.
You got to go back to I want to say the 2006 roster, maybe.
Browns receiver with staph infection.
That comes up. It's gonna be sad.
JuJu Vicious. He had it.
Was JuJu Vicious? Yeah.
JuJu Vicious had it. Browns dealing with staph infection outbreak. LaCharles Bentley was hospitalized.
JuJu Vicious started, I believe.
Linebacker Ben Taylor, Virginia Tech guy. Braylon Edwards, Brian Russell.
It just went right.
And the unfortunate case of Kellen Winslow. I don't know, something popped up on my Twitter feed about Winslow, and so I looked at it. What? Somebody, I think some a-hole Steelers fan was comparing Kellen Winslow to Roethlisberger, and was like, "Hey, our guy, at least we don't celebrate blah 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 an actual rape conviction." And we're like, bro. Winslow, we got rid of him. He played on several other teams. I know that they love to point out that he was a Cleveland Brown because he did the best, arguably, when he was on the Browns. But, yeah, man, that guy, if you read, the current stuff, so I'm waiting to see, where he's actually going to be sentenced and what jail he's going to go to. He hasn't been sentenced yet because of COVID.
Story.
Dude, the whole thing is wild. And,
it's whacked.
This is another thing that's kind of weird, just on a side note. So there's this guy on YouTube. He's got a channel. This guy, Sean Atwood. Have you ever heard of him?
I haven't.
So he does he used to be this big, kind of small time drug guy in Arizona, back in the early 2000s. But he was a British guy, and he was a stock trader who just got caught up in the drug scene. And anyway, stops doing it, but then he gets caught because it's within the statute of limitations. Ends up going to jail and going to because it's a drug offense, he doesn't go to federal. He goes to county, scary Arizona, bad jail. And then he has all this stuff happen to him, and then he eventually gets out early and blogs about it, and then has his YouTube channel now, and he's
Right.
been really tells prison stories and a whole bunch of crazy stuff. And you know, he's kind of like outlines when you go to prison what happens. And for a guy like Winslow, I mean, it's going to go one of like two ways. He's either going to get like respected because he's like a big football player, famous guy, or they're going to mess with him and make him do stuff because they think he has money. So it's not going to be a good time for Kellen. No, and rightfully so. I mean, the guy's a legitimate, like, bad human being.
Yeah, that whole, I still can't believe when I read that story, but we shall.
I think
on Kellen.
Yeah, please. But anyway, sorry to derail the conversation. I'm just like thinking back. We did give him staff, so I mean that's one thing that we did. Maybe even CCE.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was JuJu Vicious, but I thought we had somebody else more recently with staff. Like, is there anybody else who had it?
I think I know what you're talking about, because I think there was like a minor kind of thing later on that you sort of went, oh man, again.
Yeah, this is wild. I can't think of it. Yeah, but anyway.
That first time it just ran through everybody.
Yeah, my wife had staph. My wife had a staph infection after she gave birth to our first kid, and it's scary and dangerous. It's not a good thing to do. But hey, we've somehow avoided the coronavirus.
So far.
I mean, you gotta chalk that up to a positive. It goes right along with the 4-1. You know, so we got the Steelers. There we go. Yeah, me too. I got something. We got the Steelers this week. How have you ever been to Heinz Field to see us play?
I have not. It's funny you asked that, because I literally went to Pittsburgh. Well, I'm lying. I went to Pittsburgh when I was on tour, but not the actual. I was like in the outskirts. I went to Pittsburgh for the first time last year. We stayed at my wife's college friend, my friend too as well, but and they took us around the city and stuff. They're big Pittsburgh fans. I actually posted something on my Instagram, and she was the first one to come back and start, giving me a little shit. But
that's great.
But the one thing I will say, no, to answer your question, I've never actually been to the stadium, but I will say, as much as I hate to say it, Pittsburgh is kind of a cool little town. Like we were up at like one of the high peaks where there was like a lookout, and it looked out over on the Heinz Field, which it looked pretty cool. But no, the long and the short is I've never been. You?
No, I haven't been to Heinz Field. The last time I was in Pitt, I saw a Pitt game when I was a kid. It's a different stadium. It wasn't even Three Rivers. It was like the Pitt Field. I want to say they played like West Virginia or something like that. So in Pennsylvania, they had this thing called the Big 33, which is like the best 33 players in high school football in Pennsylvania play against either. It started off as Ohio, then it went to Maryland, then went back to Ohio, and I don't even know if it's really a big deal anymore. But in the 90s, it was still a big deal. And so we hosted a player at our house in Hershey, and a lot of the families actually do host a player. And we had a guy who ended up playing wide receiver for Pitt. So his freshman year, made the team and everything like that. Didn't play a ton, but played a little bit. He was a big kid, real big kid. And we went out, and so I think I was a senior in high school, and he was a freshman in college. So we went to watch him play. And he and I were cool, because like when he stayed at my house, we were just like stealing beers from my dad and stuff like that, and like we were drinking and stuff, staying up late. And I was like, dude, do you want to drink? And he's like, yeah, let's do it. So then my parents are like, do you want to just hang out with Andy for a while and we'll go check out the town? I'm like, yeah, I'll hang out here. So I ended up hanging with him and like a couple of the other like Pitt football players, and just hanging out, playing like PlayStation 1, drinking beers with like those guys in the dorm. It was great. I loved it. But the city itself is just super hilly. Like we were walking around, it's just hills and hills and hills. I was like, because I think I was applying to go to Pitt because he was like, dude, if you come here, I'll hook you up with some chicks and we'll hang out. And I was like, I don't know if I want to go to Pitt, dude. but
You want to laugh? So when we went up there, it was for the Seahawks game last year.
Okay.
So usually, as you know, we fly in or whatnot, and we're like, oh, you know what? Let's drive and we'll stay over, and then we'll just it's just a little over an hour to get to get to Cleveland, which I got pulled over on the way. That's a whole other different story, but I still made it. Yeah, I still made it. But moral of the story, that was, if you remember, I mean, we looked like we were going to win that game.
Yeah.
And then we wound up losing. By the time we got back to their house, and they live out in the suburbs of Pittsburgh, we were trying to figure out, where we were gonna eat.
Mm-hmm.
And they took us to this little spot around the corner, and it turned out that they were closing. But I got to tell you, there were, probably like 10 or 11 regulars in there, like sitting at the bar. And it didn't really dawn on us that, me and Laura still head to toe
in like Browns gear.
Dude, we walked into that place and like, I'm like, it's like this. And then it dawned on me. I'm like, oh, all right. I see how it is. But it would have been so much better if we walked in there after a victory against the Seahawks. But yeah, that was one of those weird moments where like in the movie where everybody's just like,
yeah, that's dangerous. That's enemy territory for sure.
It is.
I think I tracked down who that guy was that we thought was JuJu Vicious, but it wasn't. Brian Hartline.
Yes.
But he did not have, from what I can tell, he didn't have staff.
Really? So we made that up.
It was JuJu Vicious, but neither of us thought it was JuJu Vicious, but it was, I swear.
Did Hartline wear 80 when he was here?
83? 83.
Did 83?
He was part of that. I think when they actually came out with the new awful uniforms, when they switched to the new uniforms, he might have been one of the guys modeling him. Remember when they brought out like Joe Thomas and like maybe like Hawkins was one of the guys.
I think he might have been.
God, and I think it was Brian. Like that's how far we've come. We've come from like our featured receivers were like Andrew Hawkins and Brian Hartline. No disrespect to those guys.
No, not at all. But
they're not Jarvis, OBJ.
Right.
And I honestly thank God Higgins got back into the. I think I was more excited about Higgins scoring a touchdown than like anything else in that game, because for what he's been through, starting off with like such a promising young career, and then really just nothing. We got nothing out of him last year, very little, other than I think one game-winning touchdown catch. Then goes back on the bench, and then doesn't come. I thought he was going to be the third guy this year, and it turned out to be Cadero. But although he when he was healthy, he was actually doing quite well.
Doing well.
But Higgins looks like he's back.
And Higgins gets an opportunity. I mean,
yeah. And that block too. I think you pointed that out, right? That block that broke D'Ernest open. I mean, he blocked two guys with that nice shoulder shot, right? I mean, wow, just.
And it was interesting because I looking back at it, it was almost, and I hate to say, oh, it was like rookie year Baker,
mm-hmm.
but I don't know, that chemistry between the two of them looked eerily similar to a couple of years ago. I personally thought just Higgins finding the little soft spot in the zone.
Baker putting it right there.
Putting it right there. Yeah. So and it was a couple of those catches. It was, the same thing with the touchdown catch.
Yeah. And that's one of the things. So the last time I saw the Browns live was when they played in Tampa last 2019 preseason. Yep. And so OBJ and Jarvis weren't playing. right? They sat them. So it was Baker played the whole first half, and Higgins played with him. And man, Baker was just chucking it to him.
I remember that.
He was like the only guy he trusted, and he was like just kept going back to Higgins, back to Higgins. I think Baker and Higgins like are like legitimate friends too, off the field. I think between like, and I think the wives and girlfriends are actually close friends, because I see them kind of like, you know, having Instagram stories and stuff, hanging out together. So they're all pretty close. But I think Higgins has got a big upside. I hope we stick with him, because he's one of those guys I could see leaving the Browns at some point and then just being extremely productive for like Denver, you know, just like something like that. So I hope we hold on to him. Yeah, it was good stuff. I mean, this whole week has been like this. I've done 2 hype videos this week.
Yeah, you have. I couldn't believe when the second one came out. I thought, man, he is on the ball.
I had some sort of muse that just popped in, and when I get these sort of things, because there's a couple of videos that I have that I have major projects that I've worked through about 60% of it, and I just can't seem to complete them, and it's so hard sometimes because, you know, part of my creative process when I come up with these videos is like, I want to tell a story with each one, because dude, you can go on YouTube and just type in Browns hype videos and see highlights with rap songs or like whatever you want. I mean, there's just anything under the sun, and I try to be a little bit different with them so it pulls out some sort of emotional reaction, right? And if I don't feel like I can do that, I'm like, this is just going to be Browns highlights with a song.
Why do it?
Yeah, and it just doesn't do it. But when I get this week has been like, all right, we got the Steelers coming up. It's a huge game. It essentially is going to be for first place in the division. Is Baltimore? Who's Baltimore got?
You know what? I got a strange suspicion because they play the Eagles.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know why. I have no other reason, but just a feeling.
At the Eagles too.
But yes, I think that they stun the Ravens at the link. That's just my feeling. I'm usually right about stuff like that.
You know, it wouldn't shock me if they did that. It would. I think the Eagles are like in this weird spot right now, where, because what's their record right now? 0-1, 0-2,
1-3-1.
Eagles are 1-2-1.
1-2-1.
And they're in first place in the NFC East. And somebody was saying, like, somebody tweeted out that the Browns have more wins than the NFC East.
True story.
If we played in the NFC East, we'd be dominating that division. It would be like Brown
powerhouse.
They were scary for a long time. Yeah. Oh, have the mighty have fallen. Then you've got the AFC North with just basically almost. You could arguably say that Cincinnati is not out.
They're not. Yeah,
out of
horrible.
It.
Yeah. No.
How many times have we been like, after 5 games, have had one or two wins, and we're like, guys, we're not mathematically out of it. Let's go. You know? So. Technically,
trying to figure it out.
Yes.
We'll beat Pittsburgh twice. Well, yeah.
We got Pittsburgh. All we got to do is beat the Ravens once in Baltimore. Yeah. You know.
W.
Cincinnati. W. We got them twice. Yeah, it's. I
don't know if you saw. I was watching. I was not that I was watching, but it came across my phone. Mm-hmm. But I know. Prisco picked against us, and then I saw our very own Brady Quinn said the Steeler defense is just too good for us. And I mean, look, their defense is solid. I mean, they'll blitz you from their sub packages and their base defense. Teller probably not going worries me a little bit, but I thought Hubbard stepped in. And
first time ever playing guard.
Yeah, I thought he did a nice job, but I mean, I would feel a whole hell of a lot better if the whole offensive line was intact.
Yeah.
but I'll take 4 out of 5. But the one thing I saw too today and I think it was either Jake Burns or somebody at the OBR. I saw it on Twitter today where they were just talking about what a great job that the backs have done picking up the rusher. So
I agree with that.
yeah, I'm hoping that we could put some points on the board because I mean Ben Roethlisberger is a miles hit away from his arm hanging off. So, and if that happens, I mean, the guys that they got on the bench, they're not coming in and putting up the same type of points. I don't care how good their defense is against what our offense could put up. But I was hoping the week to week was just a really day to day on Teller.
Mm-hmm.
I guess tomorrow we'll be telling to see if he practices. But I know I looked at the report and he was a DNP. Phillips we knew because of he hurt that same knee.
Yeah, I saw your tweet about that, about Teller, and I was thinking the same thing. I was like, when are we going to find out about Wyatt? But, you know, it's like a random calf injury. Like a calf injury, is that an Achilles calf injury? Is it a strain? What is it?
Stefanski said no. The other day, I think it was Monday's presser, somebody asked him, I can't remember who it was, when he had said week to week or whatever, and they said, you know, a lot of, and I'm paraphrasing, but they said a lot of times, you know, a calf strain or any type of calf injury is tied to the Achilles.
But this one isn't.
The case here, and he said no, not the Achilles. And he was.
We need to find some doctor, some sort of sports doctor expert that we can talk to about this to figure out, get to the bottom of it. I got my Wyatt Teller autograph. I don't know where it is. What do I do with it? Oh, it's over there. The cleaning people came today. I was just looking back at the Steelers. My dad's in chat. He says that you need more lighting. He's like, you need more front. Mike R, you need more front lighting.
I might be able to get that for him.
All right. But he's like, I can't see his face.
I'm gonna have to crawl around. I'm mysterious tonight.
Yeah. you don't have your Brown stuff on. He's like, who is this character? Is he a Browns fan? He doesn't have any Brown stuff on. Oh, there he is. He does. Okay. I couldn't see it.
Speaking of, I should be in the dark because I'll tell you what happened to me today. So I got a ton of boxes. I bought a fire pit for my deck, and we splurged and bought one of those fireplaces for the bedroom. So maybe I'll yeah.
Is it like one of the electric little things?
It's beautiful though. It's stone. I may have a drink up there tonight. I don't even know. But anyway, so I had all these boxes.
Okay.
There's still some new construction in my development. So I said I got to get rid of these boxes. I mean, I'm crawling in boxes. So I load the truck. I go around the corner. I'm tossing the boxes. I go to toss the one box. I don't even understand how this happened. All I remember is as I tossed the box, the lid of the box whoosh, gave me a cardboard paper cut on my nose.
Oh, dude.
Killing me.
Dude.
But yeah, so maybe I should put a mask on. I don't know.
Put a mask on. Yeah, you're going to... You got... Hey, you know, it's another thing. I'm looking at all the schedules. And as we were talking, and I'm looking at the Steelers schedule with their 4 wins, right? So, and then I was watching, something popped up on my YouTube feed with ESPN.
How's that?
There you go. Now I can see you.
Yeah, no, is my other monitor in the way?
No, you look great. It's perfect.
Yeah, look.
Yeah, perfect color. Perfect. Everybody can see you. My dad says, Gary, we got Gary Washington in the chat. We got my dad's in the chat. Ryan Burlow, Forsaken Apostle.
Was he here for the beer portion of it?
I don't.
Was that the first time? Was that the first time that those beans were spilled?
Oh no, he knew. So what we used to do when I was a kid, my dad would get like a big 24-pack of like some sort of beer, like MGD or something, you know, right? So and then he put it in the closet or the pantry, right? And then bring them out, and keep them cold as as is, right? And so I figured out, we can just take a couple of them out at a time and then reposition the ones on the bottom so they still supported the ones on the top. You good. I was a sneaky kid when it came to that kind of stuff. But now I'm like, man, if my son steals beer from me, I'm like, just put it back. Like you could buy your own beer, kid. But anyway.
Not to cut you off, but it's just so funny the things that you did as a kid. Like, for instance, the bottles or whatever. Like, I remember my parents had like one of those kerosene lanterns, like up on their table. Like, and it was like a, not a showpiece, but sort of.
Okay.
And me and my brothers would play, hacky sack baseball or whatever. And I remember one time I hit that thing and I shattered a whole side of it. So we're trying to figure out, oh my God, they're going to be here. What are we going to do? So I'm like, all right, let's just clean up the pieces and we'll turn it around. Dude, they didn't figure that out until like 16 years later.
Oh my God. Dude, you worked.
Does anybody know how this broke? I mean, I was already out of the house.
No, I have no idea.
No idea. But they're listening now they know.
Yeah, they man, there's so many times. My dad can tell you so many stories about the things I broke, including like destroying his car when I was 15. They had a painting that was framed in Germany when my dad was in the service that my friends and I were throwing a tennis ball in the basement, shattered the glass on that thing. I mean, it was just like anything that we could do to break when I was a kid, we broke. It was a typical, like my cousin lived next door. He was my age, friends in the neighborhood, just all playing sports, like killing each other. It's just what it is. Now the kids just play, video games. It's just video games. So like there's no contact. But what I was saying was, so I was watching the ESPN and they had Dan Orlovsky, who's just him and Marcus Spears. They're just like hot take idiots. And Spears is the guy who said that Daniel Jones is the quarterback for the Giants, that he was better than Baker Mayfield. Moron. And so anyway, so they asked Orlovsky, like, who's the number one team in the AFC North. And for me, I mean, I still think it's the Ravens. Like, I think the division goes through Baltimore. They won 14 games last year. They're off to a great start. They had a little hiccup against the Chiefs, but it's the Chiefs. It's not like they lost to the Chargers or something. And and they really took care of us really well the first game of the season. So I think Spears actually said it too. He's like, yeah, it goes through Baltimore. But you got Orlovsky. He's like, no, it's Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is the team. I'm sitting here. I'm like, dude. They beat the Giants, the Broncos, the worst Houston Texans team that's erupting, and then they had a bye week 4, so they all got to rest up, and then they play the Eagles at home, and they let them hang on.
Yeah, it wasn't a cakewalk.
Yeah, and so I'm sitting there and I'm like, how they. We had not truly been tested until this weekend against the Colts, and while yes, I think we had a lot of things go our way. We had a lot of good turnovers that happened at the right time, but and for all intents and purposes, not thinking about their offense, but just their defense. We did what we had to do to take care of that game. Again, it was at home, so we had a little bit of an easier ride, but it's not like. It's not like these guys are traveling from the other end of the earth. They're traveling like an hour and a half flight or something like that. So I think we passed our first test. I really don't think that the Pittsburgh Steelers have been truly tested yet. And they haven't been blowing out teams either. The Giants 26-16, the Broncos 26-21, the Texans 28-21, and the Eagles, they put up some points but I think they had a pick 6 in there. 38-29. They're not like manhandling these teams. They're just doing what the Steelers do, and they're winning games that they should be winning. Because I think the Steelers are there. I think they're still a legitimate team. I thought they'd be more like an 8-8 or like a 7-9, taking a step backwards. But Roethlisberger looks like he is playing well, but he also hasn't been tested against like a Myles Garrett type thing yet. That Claypool kid scares me. I will be 100% honest. My dad and I watched that Steelers game, and it was just touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. And I'm getting flashbacks of like Hines Ward, and it's just like legitimate blank stares watching this kid run for touchdowns and the speed that he has. On top of the fact that they still have a very, very good JuJu Smith-Schuster. Their running game is kind of, I wouldn't say pedestrian, but it's not scary. But that Claypool kid is going to be, he could be the real deal, which would just be so unfortunate.
And they have the other kid coming back. Maybe I think Tomlin said he was going to practice during the week. What's his name? Deontay.
It's a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's good and young too. So it's like, the funny thing, it's just our luck, man. Like we finally have a team that we put together. It's just like that 2007 team. We're like, all right, we went 10-6. Sorry, not good enough this year. Not good enough to make the playoffs. And then we just folded from there. I think this year though, let's just think about this from a reality standpoint. We can afford to lose this game. We can. In the grand scheme of things, guys, we can afford to lose it. We obviously really don't want to. But can you imagine we put up another 30+ points?
Deontay Johnson, that's his name.
Johnson, okay.
Yeah. I was thinking of James Washington.
If we put...
But it's to your point, we could afford to lose this game, right? And we're 4-2, and we're still sitting pretty. We've got the Bengals, but then you've got a Vegas team coming in who's hot.
Yeah,
just beat the Chiefs.
And we talked about that last week. Remember, I told you I was like, "That's the scary one. That's the one that people are."
We agreed on that.
Yeah,
that's the scary game coming up on the schedule. But I think, we won 4 in a row, and you say, okay. I mean, the ride's got to end here eventually. But then, if you look on the flip side of things, I mean, why can't the ride end with them? Why can't they get their first loss?
I think they can. I think,
you know what I mean?
And I think they can. I think they know that too, because you listen to Roethlisberger in his press conference, and they were asking him like, "What do you think of this Browns team?" Blah blah blah, and he's like, "Look, a lot of these guys haven't been on the Browns for very long. Like they're not guys that we've played for like the last 10 years or anything. These guys don't know or care about the history of what's going on. They're, Odell Beckham's not. He doesn't care.
He doesn't care.
He doesn't care. Jarvis is a gamer. He wants to go out there and play. Kareem Hunt's still got a lot to prove. Baker's got a lot to prove. So like this is, for all intents and purposes, almost like a brand new type Browns team. And we'll have Myles Garrett back, so Myles Garrett will be able to play again. So that could be the X factor there. Is just our defense. I think is as bad as there are weaknesses in our defense. I think where it counts is going to make it very difficult. Just very similarly to what I was saying about Phillip Rivers. I think Ben's a little bit more elusive than Rivers at this point. A little bit.
A little bit.
Historically, throughout their career, Ben's been one. But I mean, he's not Lamar. He's not, he's not Joe Burrow escaping the pocket.
And the good news is you got Ogunjobi coming back.
Is he coming back? Is he playing?
Yeah, it's trending that way.
Okay.
So and if you read through the tea leaves of Stefanski's presser, the way he said it,
mm-hmm.
If you asked me, hey, are these guys playing? I would say you'll see Ogunjobi on Sunday, you'll see Claiborne on Sunday, and you're gonna see Ovi as well. So I think that.
That's big.
Oh, and Jordan Elliott is I know he got banged up a little bit, but they said he's fine. So that'll be a big thing if we can get that whole defensive line.
Yeah. So then who's out then? Is there anybody who's been ruled officially out that's new?
Well, Phillips has the knee, so he's probably going to be out. He hurt that same knee that he hurt week 1. And
you're coming off a really nice game too.
Yeah, I have the Harrison is another question.
Oh yeah, because he's the concussion. Is he in the protocol? Is it Is it like official concussion, or are they just monitoring him?
No, he did, but Stefanski said he was in the building today. So, and I mean,
it's like one of those that you can't mess with, though. You know, it's like
no, and it's funny because as fans, we do funny things and we see certain things. Like for me, I'll admit it. The game ended and he tweeted something about the game and a picture or whatever. So immediately I'm like, oh, he's good. He's tweeting.
It's golden.
Looks good. No jumbled words. The sentence made sense.
No black eyes.
Yeah. So he'll be fine.
Right.
But
right.
Again, we don't know how dinged up he got, but he's in the building. So I mean that's it's positive. So red wine's fine. So.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Redwine starts taking some more steps forward because he's going to have to play. He's going to have to play now, right?
Did you see my tweet the other day with their PFF scores for the week?
No, I wanted to talk to you about that though.
Yeah,
so
they were solid. They were in the 80s.
So what about how did Sendejo look? Is he still like out of 81 like 79?
Let me pull it up. Yeah, he was teetering at 44.6.
Dude, I saw somebody trolling on Twitter today. I don't know if you saw this. The guy who was like, I just got a Sendejo jersey and it was a brown number 23, and but it obviously was like a Hayden jersey, and he's like, yeah, I just got my Sendejo jersey. I'm super pumped.
I don't know if you saw, and I don't know if it was a joke because there's too much stuff to keep up on, but apparently like there's a federal case that he's involved in some type of fraud thing. I don't know.
With Sendejo?
BS tweet, yes. But somebody was like, "Oh man, I hope this comes to fruition quick." And somebody else was like, "Come on, man. Like, we get it. He's not playing well, but let's not wish the guy, to get arrested." But
yeah, he's definitely not playing well. That's an understatement.
Hey, you want to laugh?
Yeah.
I was right on the money.
44.
0.6.
Wow. There you go. Nice. On the money.
On the money. But I mean we know this.
Mm-hmm.
Taki, his run grade, beautiful. But he couldn't cover you and I if we had potato sacks on us.
Yeah, he couldn't cover
in the same bag. The two of us in the same bag, he still couldn't cover us.
I don't know what his deal is. I don't know if it's just bad luck or if he's just like an inept coverage linebacker.
Yeah, they said that in this defense, you have to be able to read and react to the point where if this guy goes here and he goes there, guess what? Now this is your area, vice versa. And they said that it's in terms of he's not seeing what he needs to see, and then in turn, how is he going to react?
So he's not reading. He's not reading what he should be reading.
Right. So his eyes are slow, and then in turn, he's not. He's going to be a day late and $1 short to his spot. So.
Yeah, that's. I mean, these guys are going to have to grow up pretty quick, because I think linebacker is. Linebacker's a position we need to get a lot of production out of. Malcolm Smith, still doing okay.
72.4 in the green.
What about Matt? What about Wilson? How's Wilson?
56.8. Another guy that I was reading that said that they still haven't seen the speed and the quick twitch movements out of the knee, I guess you should say.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the things that we all liked about Mac Wilson was speed. Tracking down quarterbacks as they're getting out. I think honestly that's why he got drafted. him and Taki was because we recognize that what are we going to have to do in the next couple of years to be successful in the AFC North against Lamar Jackson. We had to have speed, and with him getting injured like that hasn't helped a whole lot. So there's still some holes on defense, guys.
Oh yeah, there really is. The one thing I found interesting, and I forgot about it, and I just saw it again now.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at Vernon, the games that he was playing and helping, I mean, he's put some pressure on the quarterback, and he's been the, from that pressure on the other side, he's helped to free up, Miles on the other side. But so is he worthy of a 48.9 grade? Is that
what his grade is? His PFF score?
So is that is that one of those instances where people say, oh, you know what, the PFF score is not everything, which, and I get it, it's not. It's a.
I mean, to be honest, like
method of.
Based on what I've seen, I wouldn't say it's too. I wouldn't say it's too far off. I think he's had a couple plays, but nothing
substantial.
Nothing
sustaining, I should say.
Yeah, I would say, and I think again, he's the guy who's on the injury report every damn week too, right?
He is.
So are we getting
he's on it again this week?
Are we getting peak Olivier Vernon? I think he's one of those guys. If you poll Twitter, right? If you poll Brown's Twitter and ask them about how they feel about Olivier Vernon, they'd be like, "Get rid of him." So we haven't seen the dominant, Pro Bowl guy out of that. So, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because we expected more and he didn't meet the expectations. If he's been injured quite a bit, which he has this year and last year. I think at this stage in Olivier Vernon's career, I think we're getting what he is. I think he is a mediocre player. Although let's just see what happens. It's just so unfair for me to say that, because if you've been injured the whole time, I mean, look at OBJ last year versus this year. This is night and day. It was like a average type wide receiver a little bit to now he's like this is the guy that we brought in, and we finally have the guy that the ball's sticking to his hands, he's catching touchdowns, he's happy, the play against Dallas. So maybe that's what we haven't seen peak Vernon yet.
And he's been injured since he's gotten here.
Yeah, he's been injured. It's just who else though? We brought in who has I would say met expectations so far this year is Sheldon Richardson. He's getting involved. That dude is involved. So our defensive line, and it all starts there, right? If you want to have a good defense, it starts with the defensive line, because you got to be able to stop the run. You got to be able to get to the quarterback. Those are the two key things. The rest of it's just individual one-on-one matchups that you have to be able to win your matchup and when it comes into play. But I thought in the Colts game, after looking at what the Colts did well offensively, we were going to be picked apart by Rivers by like little dink and dunk stuff, and screen passes and dump offs to tight ends and running backs. Didn't really happen. No. So that gives me a good feeling about going into Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's not going to be able to, assert their will on us like they have against, the Eagles and Giants. It's going to be a different game. Plus, if all those guys are coming back from injury and we see them playing, that means they want to play. That means they're fighting through the injury to get on the field because they know that this is important, which is cool.
And it's funny because you and I have talked about it over and over and over again, but you really can see a difference, not only in the game plans and the demeanor on the sidelines, and which then spills over into the press conference. But I mean, Stefanski's the real deal. I think that we hit a home run, and we could have hit that home run last year, but we didn't. And I think that we're just lucky that we were able to get him, bring Barry back. Because, I mean, up to this point, you can't. I mean, even if they were, I don't know, 2-3, right?
But currently, 2022 and 3?
Yeah, 2022 and 3. With what you're seeing on the field, maybe a couple little breaks here and there that they weren't able to. Nothing, no blowouts like the Pittsburgh, the Baltimore game.
Okay.
But you look at the way the team is being run. You look at the way the offense is being run. You look at the way this guy is so selfless. I mean, just what a breath of fresh air seeing him talking to Bill Callahan on the sideline and getting his input all game, and to see the humbleness and the appreciation in these press conferences where, you know, and we know that a lot of it is BS, and every coaching staff that he talks about isn't he doesn't have a ton of respect for, but he understands the role of a head coach of a football team, and it's refreshing as far as I'm concerned.
You know, I really can't agree. I can't agree more. I mean, my dad and I were really upset with the pick. We wanted the mix, yeah, McCarthy or McDaniels. I wanted one of those guys. And here's why. And I justified it. I wasn't just going like, well, I just want one of those guys. I just wanted a coach that didn't have to learn on the job, right? Somebody who had been through it and could learn from what they did wrong and be able to do it well. And to be honest, like, I didn't know anything about Stefanski other than he was with one team for a really long time, worked his way up, and it just seemed like this was the natural evolution. So I think a lot of us, me included, was incorrect with that. But with the little bit of information that we had, looking back on it, I just think it'd be tough to. I didn't see a single person out there who was screaming, "This dude is we're gonna be 4-1 going into the Steelers." Like, there wasn't a single person out there that was saying that, right? So I think we just lucked out with him, and I wasn't, Dave Podesta still is kind of like a weird guy to me. Like, I don't know if he just seems like I don't know. Just
no, I get you.
There's just something about him that feels like really businessy and not football-y. And that's why I like Dorsey, because Dorsey was like, you could see Dorsey just like honestly just getting pissed off one day and like going out to practice and like throwing on a pair of pads and and just
he was a mean looking dude back then too.
Yeah, he was a scary looking dude. He kind of reminds me of Porter. Now it's like this scary big caveman, who's out there.
Yeah, I like that the football card that they always used to show of him with the sleeves cut off.
Yeah, holding his helmet
and shoulder pads.
Yeah, with like
rip your head off.
Yeah, it's just like that. But I like Dorsey for that, and I love my dad and I talk about this a lot. Just his ability to really find some good talent out there. And not just in the draft. I mean, nobody hits a home run at every single pick in the draft. Nobody does. Because there's just so many variables that go into it. Their own mindset. Like, look at Callaway. Callaway could, I think, have the talent to be a legitimate NFL wide receiver. He just was a knucklehead. Other guys get injured. So, I mean, there's a lot of variables that go into it. But, man, Nick Chubb. And then not only that, but then trading away Carlos Hyde. Just be like, look, Hugh, play him. I'm gonna moneyball you, right? I'm gonna Billy Bean this guy into a starting position, so you have to play him, right? So it's like stuff like that. That's why I love Dorsey. I just loved him for that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, his fall was really his line in the sand was I want Freddie, and everybody was like, bro, Even Colin Cowherds is like that guy wouldn't even be a college coach, especially not a Division I college coach.
No. It's funny too because this, I mean, not this particular game, but it was the Pittsburgh game that the second one that he had the Pittsburgh Started shirt on.
Yeah.
If you remember, started all that controversy, and again,
somebody tweeted that out, the picture of it today, and you could only see a couple letters that were in the shirt, and it looked like it actually said Pittsburgh farted, because like you couldn't see, but then it obviously was the Pittsburgh started it. But that's the thing, that's the big difference, and a lot of people pointing that out, the difference between a guy like Stefanski and a guy like Freddie Kitchen. I still like Freddie Kitchen. I think he's a really good person.
Yeah, I think he's a good person.
Just like Hugh Jackson. Hugh Jackson's probably a very good person as well. Yeah. But I think you're right. I think we hit
a good football coach.
Not record wise, at least. And I guess that's kind of how you grade them, right?
Yeah.
Because there's no like PFF for like coaches' decisions. That'd be cool if they did that.
Who is that? Bill Parcells that said that you can only be judged on your record, right?
If he did, I agree with it.
Yeah.
I agree with it. But I like Stefanski. There was an article that I read about Stefanski that really that was the first kind of like idea that hey, this guy might be a little bit different. When he first came into the team, knowing that there was going to be COVID, they weren't going to have a lot of like one-on-one interaction. They weren't going to have a lot of close like meals together as a team. All those bonding experiences that you have, and he did this exercise with them called the 4 H's, which is like. Hopes, heroes, heartbreaks, and something else. But basically, you go through an exercise and you just talk about what are your hopes, what are your heartbreaks in life, who are your heroes, and you just kind of talk about those sorts of things. And he was like, it's just interesting. You see these 20-year-old kids and these older, grown men in their 30s, like crying about the fact that they didn't have a great relationship with their father, or, they lost a brother to some sort of thing. And then they say like, hey man, I had a really, I had a brother, I lost a brother when I was a kid too, or a best friend, or I'm really close with my mom or something like that. And those are the sorts of things those are leadership decisions. Those are like corporate. Yeah. A lot of companies do sorts of things like that too for team building. So I was like, okay, this is pretty good. And then his after the games in the locker room for the clips that we've gotten to see so far and building the Browns and stuff like that, he's not like a John Gruden where he's going to get down there and start doing like hut, with the team. But
good.
Yeah, thank you. But he is like a cerebral type leader. He's like, all right, I'm gonna run off the stats for you. Made all our kicks and did all that. Here's right. And that it seems like he's not coming in there saying like, listen to me and do whatever. He's earning the respect of the players too.
I think so.
And the last time I think,
it's funny because the same could be said for the fans, right? He's earned the respect of the majority of us.
Yeah,
not that we owe him anything, but or he owes us anything, but yeah, I mean, I was like you. I was in the McDaniels camp, and to see where we are today with the type of guy that he is, again, sideline the press conference. I mean, you can't go wrong. And then the icing on the cake is we're 4-1. I mean, but again, if we were 2-3, I'd still feel the same way with how it's played out and just him and his persona and his the way he runs a game. But
because if you look at the 2-3, because if you look at two, if you're saying like let's think of a a scenario where we're 2-3. Because the 2 wins are going to be Washington and Cincinnati. So that means we're losing to Ravens, we're losing to the Cowboys, and we're losing to the Colts. And I think that if we're 2-3 right now at this point in the season, there's going to be a lot of heat on Baker. There's going to be probably dissatisfaction from some of the older veteran players like OBJ, like that sort of thing. Like OBJ is like, 26, 27 yeknow, old, maybe either 27 or 28. Yeah. So I think he's going to turn 28 this year. I mean, this isn't like, at some point, you're not going to be as fast as you were when you were 21, 22, 23, right? So he knows that he's in a window too, right? And there's no guarantees either. So let's say he goes to Green Bay or he goes to Kansas City. There's no guarantees that you're going to win a ring. It's not like in basketball where, like, hey, if you play with LeBron and Anthony Davis, there's a really good chance you're going to win a ring. So might as well just go ahead and do it because there's 5 guys on the court at any given time. There's so many things that go into it. And a wide receiver, to be honest, historically throughout NFL football, isn't the most impactful player, out there. And I think he's starting to fall into that role. But if we're 2-3, man, there'd be so many unanswered. There's be so the questions would be deeper, It would be a lot deeper. So, but that's what happens. Winning cures all.
Yeah, it cures all.
It does. Winning makes all of those problems go away. Other than the Cleveland media, who, it's just, my God, these guys.
Just when you think maybe.
Yeah.
Did you catch any of the presser today?
No, I think I saw.
Did you see Tony Grossi?
No, I saw. What's it called? Brown's Therapy made some funny GIFs about him on Twitter.
I saw that. He and I have to tell you, I've been watching all the press conferences, and he's actually behaved himself for Tony. But he was talking about, do you need to play stall ball, is what he called it. And Stefanski just laughed and said, "Stall ball, Tony. Stall ball is what you play in 6th grade CYO." I just thought that was hilarious. And you know how Stefanski is, and he just brings it back I'm just kidding with you kind of thing. And then Tony chuckles or whatever, but it's he kind of made Tony feel a little small and made us smile, but did it with a lot of class.
Yeah. It's not it's not a disrespectful way. It's just hey, I'm gonna mess with you, but not humiliate you at the same time. But those guys, I mean, those guys on Twitter, the vast majority of them, there's a couple decent ones that are out there. I don't know why. A lot of these things a couple of things have just been in my mind all week, and one of them was just again, we were talking about our running backs last week with Crowell and those guys, and thinking they were good, and then also thinking about the Cleveland media guys that are out there, and we have for the Mary Kays and the Grossi and the gold hammers that exist out there. We also have really good ones. I think honestly, a national treasure is guys like Zagura, Ken Carman, the Jim Donovan. We have guys that are members of the media that are really good. Cameron Justice, that the girl who's on TV too, she's great. She's going to be fantastic for years to come. I mean, there's just there has to be a changing of the guard a little bit, but we have great ones, but then we've got trash ones, and unfortunately they all get mashed up in the Cleveland media, and it's not until they leave, and it's not until
who I enjoy. She never asks a bad question, and she always writes nice pieces. Is Marla Ridnour.
Yeah, she's the other one. I always get her and Mary Kay's voice mixed up because it's just okay, it's your turn to go, and I can't tell the difference. I'm like, oh, that wasn't a bad question. I was like, oh, it wasn't Mary Kay.
Yeah, I enjoy her stuff. She's all business. She's not.
And Terry Pluto too.
I haven't seen. And Terry Pluto's another guy.
Terry Pluto's a guy
as well. Yeah,
he's one of those guys that you're like, all right, he doesn't go super negative. He's not trying to create a tabloid out of this. Yeah. He's just saying this is going on.
Trotter's been good too since he's covering us.
He's good. Yeah, he is good.
Yeah.
He's pretty decent. So we have some good ones. I think it's just the bad eggs that are in the basket just kind of spoil it for a lot of people. But the good thing is, again, we're winning. So it doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't. None of it matters. And I think Baker's just kind of got to the point where he's like, okay, these guys are, their job is to get clicks, and if somebody says the wrong thing one time and says, Mo, Case Keenum had a really good practice the other day, so just whatever, they're gonna jump on that and try to do something with it. Now,
oh yeah, no, I was gonna say to your point earlier about 2 and 3, where I was going with that or whatnot, but you're absolutely right in a sense that I think it was last week that they asked Baker, are you hearing noise from the outside that's negative or whatever, and he fired back and said, yeah, from you guys.
Yeah, that was great. That was only from you guys.
Yeah, and to your point, they're winning. So you didn't hear boo about that. But man, if they were 2 and 3 or even worse, you 1 and 4, that would have been all over the place. Baker's immature and he can't do this and he can't do that. So
yeah, you can't give him any crumbs. You just gotta keep plowing ahead, keep putting up W's, and it gets ignored. Colin Cowherd hasn't really. I mean, he's still hypercritical of Baker, and there are we've been watching the games. I mean, he's not flawless. He's been not particularly good in the third and fourth quarter. We got lucky and the defense bailed him out in the Colts game.
He's hanging in the pocket a little bit better, though. I will give. He stepped up quite a few times against the Colts. I was impressed. Mm-hmm. I thought, even like you said, I mean, he's been, horrible in the fourth quarter, but overall, just watching him play. Mm-hmm. He's bailing out less, and when he is bailing, it's he's got there's a method to it, if you will. He's not just seeing one guy maybe pushing a little bit too far into the backfield instead of stepping up. I'm out of here, and hopefully I'll find somebody. You could see the progress, so yeah. That's good.
And he's been doing well. I mean, the Higgins touchdown, the Harrison touchdown. Those were good. I mean, he broke the pocket, made something happen. They're rolling him out a lot too, and I think they're probably recognizing they're like, he's comfortable on his feet and he's extremely accurate when he's running.
Yeah,
right.
It's crazy because some of those on those design rollouts, I mean, they're running the ball so well that he rolls out. And there's some occasions where there's not a guy within 7-8 yards of him.
Yeah, even on the TV, we're like, where are the defenders?
Yeah.
But then when they have the one that gets up that stays and contains, and then he's got to do something, he's got to dump it off. And then unfortunately, we had Jarvis who's just randomly dropping balls. And this is after I was like, he's got the best hands in the NFL. The catches that he makes are the best catches in the NFL.
And think about it. The first one of those, that's a first down. So we don't even know what happens on that. We could have drove down the field. I mean, that was, you could have looked, if we lost, you could have looked to those,
could have pinned it on them.
1 or 2, 3 plays that turned the game around.
Yeah.
That would have been right up there.
Yeah, you're right, and that's the thing. It's like, and you know what? You can't take that away from us because who knows? You get that first down, and then Kareem Hunt rushes for 27 yards and gets us within a field goal, and then you get Ernest Johnson doing the same thing. So this isn't a Browns team that it's finding it difficult to actually get yards on the ground,
right?
So who knows what could happen? I don't expect that to be a reoccurring thing with Jarvis. It was, I don't know if it was concentration or maybe he got banged up a little bit and he was just gun shy from the footstep. I don't know what it is, right. But I don't
popped earlier.
Yeah, I don't see it being a problem for long.
I think it was just an anomaly and it. What are the odds? Not once but twice.
Well, he dropped some last year too. For all the amazing catches that he's made, falling out of bounds, over top of somebody, within 3 guys. Sometimes these guys, when it's so easy, those are the ones that make it. You know who used to drive me freaking nuts about that? 2 guys. Braylon Edwards could catch a ball, full sprint, 60 yards down the field, full sprint. He could dive and catch the ball. But if you threw him anything right to him, it was like 50-50. him and Greg Little were the two guys that were
Oh my
like,
God.
that were
So
like,
much promise, but I mean, he had stone hands.
yeah.
Couldn't catch anything. So
But
that,
it
you know
was
what, that
Butterfingers and Stonehands, those two
yeah,
guys.
that you know what, it's funny because that that first one that Jarvis dropped, when you did look at the replay, it did look like he knew that he could
Get
not only
cracked.
get the first down but pop that thing a little bit, and
Mm.
he basically took his eyes off it and was getting ready to turn upfield before he secured the catch. So
Yeah.
his eyes were drifting away.
That's a,
You know what I saved for you.
what?
I wrote it down, and I said, you know what? As we get near the end, I'm gonna hit him with this.
All right.
Who is the best PFF scorer on defense?
On defense?
Yep, and I'll tell you what the score is. 93-6.
I mean,
Gotta have a drink while you think about
it can't be Miles. That'd be too easy, right?
it. He is in the 90s, but not 93.6.
Who's been that good for us?
And it's a small sample size, but it's
Okay.
a good one. It's a good one.
That's a good
Yeah,
clue.
good clue. Very promising.
Well, it's not Denzel. It's
No, he's sixth rated.
It's not anybody like T. Mitch or Harrison. It's
Harrison 72.7, I think Harrison was. So he's solid.
I mean, it's not gonna be like it's not gonna be like red wine, right? Like is it red wine?
Yep.
Because you said small sample. Well, yeah, I mean, he played he was like 4 plays and he had an interception. So like, maybe that might be skewing the numbers a little bit. But
he's played a bit during the season here and there.
Yeah, I think it's funny, and I swear to God, this is exactly how it went down. They say that Harrison has the concussion, and they talk about red wine, and they're like, he's going to be coming in. He comes in. And I was like, all right. And I was like, we're digging deep in the depth chart right now. And my dad goes, oh, no, I like that red wine. I like that guy. He can play.
Right. He stayed to watch the game with you, right?
Yeah, we're sitting there watching the game. He's sitting right next to me, and he goes, yeah. He's like, red wine. He's like, no. I think he's a pretty good player. I think he's pretty good. And I said, I don't know, Dad. And he was like, I don't know. And then boom, he makes a pick, and I just look at him, and I tweeted it out too. I was like, you literally just said that. And he made a huge play. That was a good call. Not that I was doubting. It's just more like I haven't seen enough from him.
And what you did see was kind of
Yeah, and I think I still think kind of for like, I don't know if we drafted him necessarily to be a starter or like get a significant amount of playing time on defense, more like special teams type guy. But he's going to have an opportunity now. The kid's going to have an opportunity. And if he can step up and just be adequate, right? I mean, Sendejo, I saw some stats on him, man. It was like, I want to say like 15 for 18 completions for like 3 touchdowns.
Everybody catches everything against him.
That's
like
what
80%, I think it was. I think it was 80% of passes thrown at him have been completed.
I mean, that's
that.
It's insane. I think
insane. I know.
There was like a point in the game where I think Rivers was just throwing up in the air towards him and be like, I think a receiver will be there, And it was like, I mean, it was that bad. So, and I don't know if Sendejo is really that bad.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't think of another safety we've ever had that has given us this much poor performance.
And then you wonder too, as bad as it is, I'm sure if we were privy to, the exact scheme and coverage that they're playing, that I'm sure on some of those, it's not him and somebody else. But I know there was one where it was actually, I mean, he looked embarrassed, and it was actually a Denzel mental error that he was supposed to be covering that.
Oh, cost.
So, yeah. So,
I mean, Denzel's not he's not perfect either. I mean, he's given up touchdowns. But he's also a guy who's like fairly consistently injured as well. We haven't had a lot of big stuff, and I think last year was like concussions. So I think it was like head injuries, and that's what I was scared of. I was really scared of those for him, because it's like you're playing in a position where you got to dive head first at guys' knees a lot to make tackles.
He called him out on that.
Yeah, he did. He's like he's got to learn how to tackle. But you know, you look at Greg Williams, the coach, and what's going on with the Jets. The Jets are just a disaster.
Oh God,
a complete disaster.
And somehow Gay still has a job. I don't know if he's got pictures of Mike Douglas, or I don't know what's going on. But
I think it's gonna be changing soon.
It's got to be. I mean, they're like the old us, and maybe worse. But man, Coward, he's still on his boy Darnold, isn't he? I think if the Jets have the number 1 pick, there's no way that they're going to pass on Lawrence. I can't see it.
I agree.
I mean, that cupboard is bare. I mean, at this point, what are you going to do?
I mean, you're 0-5. Your point differential is -86. Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields are two guys that, or at least Trevor Lawrence, you can say is there's not really a flaw in his game. Yeah. He's done it all in college.
In last year, so you got the left tackle.
Yep. I mean, you got a good defensive tackle as well with like, was it Quentin Williams? Who have they drafted?
Happened with him though. He was in hot water for something. I can't remember exactly what it was though. He did something.
Greg Williams.
Was he the one that was in the airport with the gun? Was that Williams? It might have been. I'm pretty sure it was in New York.
It might have been. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't know if it was Williams or not, though.
I gotta look it up next.
But here's the deal with the Jet. It was my dad and I were talking about this on the post-game show, trying to identify the teams that are going to be in fire sale mode soon. You know, that we could maybe pick up.
Him.
A safety. Oh, was it Williams?
Yeah.
So
tried to board the plane with it.
You go back, you look at who's possibly in fire sale. The Bengals are going to give us anything. But the Jets and the Dolphins, well, the Dolphins are 2-3, so they're technically still kind of messing around. Especially
they looked good the other day, and I'm still waiting.
They did.
Mean, Fitzmagic keeps playing like that. Are they gonna bring in Tua, or are they just gonna let him sit for the year?
I mean, he had a pretty bad injury, right? And if they believe in him, you know, Mahomes sat for a whole year.
I mean, I've heard rumblings that it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. But
I would agree with that.
They look pretty good.
I think it's probably going to come down to like when they're teetering on like this could either we could make a playoff run and if things went really well or not. And I think where it will come is when they're going to be faced with the decision is, are we going to want to stick with this kid? Right. Or with Justin Fields coming out, who we might have a shot at. Because they're not going to have a shot at Trevor Lawrence. He's going to go to the Jets or
even the Giants.
He's the Giants, the Falcons.
How about both of the New York teams 0-10? Like, wouldn't they give anything to get Rex Ryan and Tom Coughlin back, huh?
But they got two young quarterbacks. Yeah, they probably would. Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold. Out of the two guys there, I like Darnold better. But you look at the Giants, and the Giants, they invested so heavily in Saquon, and he was supposed to be the cornerstone of their offense. What a
waste of a pick. They wasted his career. I really feel like they wasted his career.
You made a great point. You made a great point
about it. Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that. But you made a really good point, and it stuck with me, and I kept thinking about that afterwards, and I'm like, you know what? How do you invest in a running back like that, and then go and get Daniel Jones, right? I mean, I watched Daniel Jones play in college. He went to Duke, so he played against Virginia Tech, and there was nothing that stood out about him that I was like, that guy's gonna be scary. Like Matt Ryan, I saw in college. Donovan McNabb, I saw. I mean, these are the guys that are like, holy crap, those guys are like next level dudes. Right. Daniel Jones, I was like, I don't know, like maybe he'll be a 5th round pick, 2nd, 3rd string, and then go go on The Bachelor, and be famous there. Like that's what he seemed to me. Not like a 1st round guy that you trade up for and whatever.
He had one thing going for him, and it's why he got drafted. Is he's a Manning guy. He's friends with the Mannings. They train with the Mannings, and
It looks like a Manning.
And he looks like him. Do you remember when they had in his rookie year when they would show him and Eli on the sidelines together?
Yeah, they're clones.
Like twins.
Yeah, they're just like little clones. I don't even know. So the Jets, bad. Worst team in the league, I think.
Yeah, they got to be. Both sides of the ball. I mean, I still don't know how that guy has a job. I don't even know why they hired him in the first place. Remember his press conference? Those crazy eyes all over the place.
Yeah, it was weird. It was like, and his other players were like, dude, they didn't like playing for him. It was real weird.
I mean, how do you? It's interesting too because after the game last night, I was watching Total Access, and they were talking about just culture versus talent, but at the same time, yes, culture is important, but I mean, you still need players because without players, you're not winning squad.
Right.
And they were like, yeah, they all three of them was like Sean O'Hara and Jones Drew and I can't remember who else was there, but anyway, moral of the story is they were like, you can't proactively subtract guys like Jamal Adams like that. Though that's the type of talent that you don't give away
for nothing.
And that's all Gase has done. Is just, I mean, would you
for a dream next year and draft picks
like Le'Veon Bell? Like I don't know if I would have just
literally got nothing.
I don't agree with that. I would have held him. And the whole thing, he made a comment or something about the trade or whatever. I mean, all these guys make comments, but I mean, to invest that much money, and now whoever picks him up you're paying him. I mean, it just makes no sense to me.
I don't think Le'Veon wanted to go there anyway. I think he was thinking he's going to sit out a year and he's going to stick it to the Steelers and he's going to go get some giant contract. And when it came around, there wasn't a whole lot of buyers at that point, And now you look at the teams that are out there, that like the Giants, arguably they went out and got Freeman, So there's like, somebody else lost a running back recently.
Where do you think he'll go? By the way, while we're talking about it,
I could see him going somewhere like to some good team, like the Titans or the Seahawks, and just being a backup for a year and just playing it out, and then winning a ring, and then like leave. I could just see that happening. Not just being a role player for a team before he has to go and get back into the market. Because if you look at the teams that are out there, I mean, there's not a whole lot of teams right now that are really struggling for like in the running back situation.
Right.
Maybe Denver. Yeah, that's who it was. Denver had the guy who just got the DUI.
They've got kid that's hurt. Why can't
Philip Lindsay? Yeah, he's hurt. Got him sitting on the bench in my fantasy squad. I don't know, dude. If I'm looking at my fantasy team, man, I just
league?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I just know how to play fantasy football anymore. Because if you look at my team on paper, now I made the wrong call this week by putting in Breeze. I think I'm gonna actually dump Breeze.
What's funny is you were talking you were high talking on Breeze last week. Remember? You're like, I love him. He gets a lot of yards. I always get him in my fantasy, and then he shit the bed.
He's just like, I mean, it's just not working. And then unfortunately, I had Jared Goff on the bench, who would put up 30, and it just wasn't working.
It's funny though. I mean, don't beat yourself up because, I mean, if you look at the standings in our league, I mean, you got the 2 at 4-1. And then 3-2, and then the rest of the league is 2-3, you included, and then there's a 1-4 team. But I mean, 8 spots and 2, 4, 5 teams are 2-3. Yeah, you're in the thick of it. You're in the thick of it.
And I play another 2-3 team this week. So yeah, it could. I think that I'm gonna get lucky here with where I am in the standings with the players that are going to be available because I'm gonna try and get Tannehill. I'm gonna try and get Claypool, and then I'm gonna try to pick up a tight end. I have a waiver request in for Jimmy Graham.
Where are you here in the waivers?
I don't know. I make a lot of moves, so I don't know where
Oh my, you don't want to know where you are.
my last.
Might as well be. I'm no better. I'm 7. You're 9.
Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't go by record, right? It goes by the number of moves and stuff that you're
Number of
doing.
moves. So
Yeah.
you know the second place team who has weak receivers is going to pick up Claypool.
Yeah, that's fine. I think I'm still rolling the dice on him because I was gonna drop.
Yeah,
I was
I
gonna
think
drop
so.
Judy for him. So I mean,
There's the other
who
kid too that
knows?
played well from the Eagles.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got lucky. I picked up Robbie Anderson, early on. So I got Calvin Ridley and Robbie Anderson who are just doing really well. Jarvis doesn't have a freaking touchdown yet this season. Got lucky with David Montgomery. With him getting a lot of carries now, but then I lost Nick Chubb, so it's just been like one thing after another with fantasy this season. But you never know. This is like because I've got Fournette and Phillip Lindsay and Devonta Freeman and Nick Chubb in the back. I got a lot of running backs, right? So if Lindsay and Fournette and Nick Chubb come back healthy, when those buys start hitting, could be looking okay. We'll see. We shall see. But yeah, I mean, what's your prediction for this week? By the way, I know we've been at it for a little while, but I want to know like what is your honest feeling about this weekend's game? And I'll give you mine.
I've been going back and forth with this. I it's going to be tight. There's no question. Like I don't think anybody is. It's going to be a 7-point game, 10-point at the most, I believe.
Okay.
And I really think that it's going to come down to Baker. I really believe that. I think it's going to. Can he drive them down at the end to win this game?
Yeah.
I don't have a prediction. Do I think we could go into Heinz Field and win the game? I absolutely do. But I think that in order to win there, and there's not that many fans, so you don't have to worry about the crowd noise and what have you.
Yeah, the
But
towel.
I think in order to, yeah, that stupid towel. But I just don't think that it. Let's put it this way: to go in there and beat them right now at this point in the season,
Mm-hmm.
they have to be on their game, and that starts with Baker. I think if they go in and they're dialed in, and he's not sailing balls, and they're crisp, and we can get the run game going, I think we win the game. I think we win by. I said 7, but I'm looking at we're driving down at the end, and the final score is like a 4-point difference or a 5-point, something like that.
What's the line right now? We can't be favored, so
No.
Browns versus Steelers.
I can't imagine it's that 7, maybe 8.
Browns Steelers odds. Steelers 5.5 right now.
Yeah. So
Okay.
there you go. There's my 4 or 5.
Yeah, and that's within
And it could go
within
either way.
striking range, right? That's a. I think where my concerns come in with this game is that if you go back to look at Baker, in games that there is a dominant defensive player like Bosa or Aaron Donald or just guys like that, right? Who get to the quarterback. These aren't like like defensive back type guys, but the guys that get
TJ
to
Watt on the mind.
yeah, I think so TJ is going to be the guy that's going to be critically important that we keep under wraps, and if we don't allow him to get into Baker's head by smacking him around, then I think we're going to be in okay shape. I haven't looked at the team defenses all together. I'm like, let me take a look here from a defensive standpoint for the good old Steelers. It looks like
So you're feeling it comes down to Baker as well, then, in a way.
I think a lot does. So the Steelers have a grand total of 6 sacks this year so far in 4 games. So, they're not getting to the quarterback a lot.
No, that was interesting. I didn't expect that.
One
And I didn't
interception,
look at those.
just one.
Hmm.
3 fumble recoveries though. So that's how they've gotten their turnovers primarily from fumble recoveries. And they're giving up 26 points, 24 points, 28, and 38. So you can score on them, which is good, right? So those are the good signs. It is. I think you're right. If we get off to one of those starts, like in Baltimore, I really just hope the defense. I hope we start off on defense, right? So the pressure isn't on the offense, right, to set the tone in the game. That's what I really want. When we came out against the Colts on offense, I was like, because you don't. You're at a disadvantage, I think, when you start with the ball, because then you don't know if you need to be aggressive on early, 4th down, or if you should take points early. We took points early; it happened to work out well for us, but who knows, right?
Yeah.
So I think we can score against Pittsburgh. Ben hasn't been playing particularly well against us of late either. So that should be something we should
note.
Good
point too. I think he's got miles on the brain.
Yes, and here's the thing, with Larry can get to the quarterback. Vernon can get to the quarterback. Sheldon Richardson has proven that he can bounce some guys around and get to the quarterback. So our defensive line is straight up scary. This is gonna be one of those games from a Baker standpoint. Can he beat Roethlisberger? Can he be the breaker of streaks once again, and have us win in Pittsburgh? So Baker's proven throughout his career that he can break streaks. This could be the next one. Miles is going to go heads up on the same field against another guy that people are looking at as Defensive Player of the Year in TJ. So Miles is going to want to make a statement as well and get his. And Miles is going to get his. I mean, I think Miles is going to get his this year. If you look at us, Cleveland Browns defense, we had they didn't give us any sacks against Cincinnati on paper. I thought they gave Miles a strip sack on that. Guess not. Maybe it does. Maybe on paper versus a little bit different with the fantasy stats. 2 sacks against Baltimore, 2 against Washington, 2 against Dallas, 1 against Indianapolis. We've had 4 interceptions and 2 fumble recoveries, and 1 defensive touchdown.
We do seem to be in the right place at the right time. I mean, when we're not
giving
getting
up
gashed on the back end.
We're giving up points too, though. We're definitely giving up points.
Oh yeah.
So it's
I do. I mean, it very well could be a shootout. Still for me, that 4 to 5 point differential of who's what the final score is going to be. But I mean, a 35-31 game. I mean, I think it could turn into a shootout. But then I guess that plays back to what I was saying earlier, which is if we're on the losing end of 2 minutes left, 3 minutes left, and we got the ball in Baker's hands. I mean, he can not only can he get us back in the win column since 2003 in Pittsburgh, but he can check off another notch on his belt. And I mean, wow, could you imagine sports talk on Monday?
5-1 Cleveland Browns after just beating the Steelers in Pittsburgh for the first time since 2003.
Game-winning drive.
That they score a touchdown or kick a field goal, or either one. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, either one. Probably a touchdown.
Touchdown, yeah.
To Njoku, one of those sneak them out, nobody's paying attention.
Yeah. Yeah, one of those like in the red zone on the 4 yard line, play action, and it sneaks out. I would take that. I mean, to be honest though, um, I I wouldn't mind just having a game where we're just like we from start to finish we play 4 quarters of football,
Would be
which
nice.
is we just play consistent 4 quarters of football, scoring and playing defense, and just knowing we've won the game the whole time, not letting them get back within striking distance with 2 minutes left in the game where we have to have like a giant interception or a giant run,
Well,
that.
we thought we had that in Dallas. There was a point where I'm like, this is great. I can
Yeah.
relax.
Oh,
And
I
then
was
the next
loving
thing
it.
you know, it was like touchdown, touchdown, touchdown.
Yeah.
Are we gonna lose this game?
Well, and that was early enough in the Cowboys season where we
Yeah.
had just seen them do that against the Falcons, so we knew that they had the offense that had the
Yeah.
capability to
Had
do
the
that,
firepower.
right? And and then against the Colts too, it was like we gave them within striking distance there, uh, and it's like but the old Browns, we lose those games.
Oh, we fold. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
we
No
don't have.
questions asked.
And if you really look at like who's making the plays, like Denzel Ward's making plays, Kareem Hunt's making the plays when we have to, and then we have other guys like D'Ernest Johnson and Sheldrick Redwine, Malcolm Smith. Like we just got these guys that are making plays that are like stepping up and doing it. B.J. Goodson is getting an interception. It's just like random. The role players are playing the role, but then the stars are actually doing the things that the stars should do. OBJ is catching touchdowns. Myles Garrett's getting to the quarterback, getting knocking the ball loose, getting fumbles, and it's just
Ogun Joby just blowing up offensive lines week in and week out. I mean,
Oh,
obviously he was out last week, but
yeah. I mean, it's like it's. I think we're so close to being excellent. We're so close to being. So we had the.
I felt like we were in Bill and Ted's vacation. Why can't I think of the name? Bill and Ted's Excellent
Adventure.
Adventure. I couldn't even.
Be excellent to each other, right? I mean, we just getting up a ton against the Cowboys and letting them creep back in quickly, and
It
then
was quick.
And then the Colts, we have that the Ronnie interception,
pick
six, and then we give up a kickoff return for like letting
right the next play.
I mean, what a punch!
Kick, but...
What a punch in the gut, right? And that's the piece of it that is still a thing.
So
for the
Browns. It's still so Browns though, isn't it?
It's like let's just and it keeps coming back to like, do we know how to win? Do we? At what point do you take your foot off the gas? Are we taking? Is that lull going to happen in every game, in the third quarter, in the fourth quarter? That lull, and then we just like wake up again and realize like, hey, we're not bad. We should win these games, and then we just close out.
Could this be?
I don't know.
You use the foot on the gas mentality. Could this be our game? Remember Days of Thunder? With Tom Cruise, Cole Trickle.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, he just couldn't get out of the funk, and then there was that wreck again.
And
he just put the foot down and said, "I'm going to get through it." And he came out the other side, and then that was
checkered flag. Yeah,
maybe this is that moment for us. If we beat Pittsburgh and come out 5-1 next week after beating Pittsburgh, I mean, you're looking at us jumping to like 4 in the power rankings, and like at that point, we are legit contenders.
Yeah, you'd have to have a monumental collapse, in terms of like, I could see that happening, a collapse like that happening to Baltimore if they lost Lamar Jackson. He breaks a leg or something like that, and he's got some knee issue going on.
He does.
So there's something going on with him. If they lose Lamar Jackson,
well lately either.
But I think RG3 is probably a very adequate backup because he plays a similar type game. Obviously, not nowhere near the universe. Right. Maybe when he was a rookie, somewhere in there. But I think RG3 would be able to still be okay. It wasn't like when the Eagles lost Cunningham and then it was like they were 8-0 and then they went 8-8. I mean, it was like that. I don't think that kind of collapse.
Like Bubby Brister or something.
It was Brister.
Yeah. Don't ask me how I pulled that out of the hat, but
Dude, I'm telling you, like those are the Steelers teams I grew up with. It wasn't until Neil O'Donnell got there, who was like a poor man's Testaverde,
yeah,
who got them, over the hump
lost in
to
the
Super Bowl. Right? Yeah. But I mean, they were terrible. When I grew up, I was like, the Steelers suck.
Oh, they were horrible.
They were,
But
and then
even with, yeah, I mean, we're not that far off. But even when I was younger, I mean, they weren't
like
that good.
the Bradshaw. It was like they had the Bradshaw years, and then they just fell off the
Yeah,
planet.
like I was right towards the end of that, like the Bradshaw and why can't I? I'm drawing a blank on the receiver, Stallworth.
Yeah. Yeah, those guys were. That was definitely before me. It was just before me because I grew up. I mean, my first year I remember football was '85 with the Bears, with like Walter Payton and
Yeah,
Refrigerator Perry and all those guys. That was the first year I
Richard
remember
Dent.
football.
Yeah,
And then '86 when Tecmo Bowl came out, and then I could learn the players,
right.
who were in the game. The Browns they didn't have all the teams, but they had the Browns in there.
Yeah,
So I got to learn the Browns players, and then it kind of went from there because that's when I literally was just watching my dad get so into it, and I was like, oh, that's the team I should be into. Okay, and just kind of built an identity around it. But yeah, I mean, I got to tell you, if we go 5-1, if we go 5-1,
we go 5-1. I will be
we're legit.
in front of my computer and calling into you and your dad.
Well, you'll be welcome. You'll be welcome on. We'll find a spot for you because
I will be
at 5-1, dude. Like it is a legitimate. Now we're talking playoffs. Now we're talking like the reality is going to be there at 5-1, because we could afford to slip against Baltimore again. You know what's going to be really fun though? That last game of the season.
Yep.
January 3rd. That's like a bowl game, right?
Yeah.
It's like a weird bowl game, and it's in Cleveland. It's gonna be freezing cold. Let me look at. Go ahead.
How I guarantee if they go into Pittsburgh and win this game, you're gonna see the narrative change from oh, they got their doors blown off by Baltimore, and then they played nobody, and that's why they're 4-1. And then you'll hear that narrative change if we win this weekend too. Oh, well, wait a second. Maybe that team that we saw in Baltimore week 1, there was no off season, there were no OTAs, there were no. There was rookie minicamp, but not to it was virtual, but.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that was an element probably of COVID, and they were just, on the field for the first time together. And maybe that score was not, a reflection of this actual team.
I think that's what I like to. I want to believe that. That it was all those reasons that you mentioned, that we hadn't gelled yet, and
maybe it is. I think if we go in and take care of business in Pittsburgh, maybe it was just that.
Pittsburgh has not been tested yet. That's the one thing that I keep going back to. I keep looking at the schedule. The New York Giants.
At one point, those teams were like a combined 0-6 or something like that.
0-9.
Is that what it was? 0-9.
0-9, and then they played the Eagles, who the Eagles were on their schedule, and they had won one game.
Isn't it funny though?
And they're saying that they're the team to beat.
You just hit the nail on the head and what I was just gonna say was, isn't it funny? Isn't it funny how if you have a solid organization, if the Browns were a solid organization, and they hadn't been a clown show for all these years. Mm-hmm. We'd be in that conversation. But since it's the Steelers and they've been consistently good,
yep,
they overlook the fact that those teams were 0-9. It doesn't matter.
Dude, think back to that Cowboys game where all the Cleveland.com writers had us losing the game. Yeah. It's the same thing. It's
Or last week with the two that said we were going to tie. Like, come on. Who even wastes their time?
like that's
Did you
such a
think it was cute? Like, why?
that's like putting money on like snake eyes in the craps table. I was like, yeah, we're gonna roll snake eyes. Um, I'm looking at the historical weather. All right, for January 3rd. I know we're jumping ahead just a few weeks here, but historically, 2018, the weather in Cleveland on January 3rd at kickoff
Oh boy.
was 18 degrees.
Wow.
2019 at kickoff, it was 32 degrees,
Not bad.
quite a bit longer or warmer. And then this year, we must have had like an El Nino or something. It was 49 degrees. So this year,
There's another one this year. I
is
can't
there?
remember if it's a Nino or a Nino. All I know is it's supposed to be wetter and warmer in Ohio. I did see that today.
Well,
Like for me out on
27th.
the East Coast,
So
it's
you know,
rough.
it's probably going to be in the. I mean, looking at it historically, it's been like kind of in the high 40s, right? Except for that one
Yeah.
year in 2018 where it was like 19 degrees. So
Yeah.
it could be a weird, just a weird game. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. So it could. Who knows?
Could be like one of
I
those
would.
weird spring days.
I don't know if I'd be super comfortable in like 19-degree weather. No, I don't think I could do that anymore. I'm gonna be in my media room watching it with I might even have a blanket. No, but it's gonna be
As long
fun.
as it's a Browns blanket. I have several of those.
There's gonna be some sort. I don't know if I have a Browns blanket anymore. I have a Browns snuggie.
I got
Remember
two.
those?
Yeah.
With the arms.
I got,
break out the snuggie.
when we were at the Pittsburgh game, the Miles game,
Mhm.
we didn't think it was going to be that cold. And I had bought us both, the actual hand warmer that like Baker would wear.
Oh,
So,
the muff thing that like goes
oh God, it
like the
was
fanny pack that you can put your hands in.
beautiful. Yeah, it was
Where do you
perfect.
Where do you even
But
get those?
I think I might have got it at the NFL shop. No, you know what? I got it off Amazon, but I
Okay,
bought two of them, and I told Laura to wear hers. She didn't wear it, so naturally,
you
she
got to give it
was
to you. Yeah,
she
here
she,
you
she
go.
so no, I didn't.
Good.
But she wanted a blanket, so I said okay. So I went to the pro shop,
$90 later, and you get your
and it was
blanket.
and it was funny because all those years of um I think it was like 35 minutes till kickoff or something
Mhm.
like that. So, I mean, from where we are in the dog pound, you got to wrap around to get to the pro shop. I mean, normal, like when we suck,
Yeah.
I'm just zipping right into the thing, back out. Maybe I could even grab a beer on the way, and I'm back in like 12 minutes.
Mhm.
Well, because of the hype of last year,
Yeah.
I mean, it was like we were 5-1 and playing the Steelers at that point. Like I couldn't even. I had to like shimmy my way through. Anyway, long story short, I go in there,
Mhm.
and the only blanket that they had just come out with it, and it's Baker throwing a pass, and it says woke up feeling dangerous. So I'm like, all right, I'll get this. So that's the blanket that we have on our one of the Browns blankets we have on the couch, but that was I heard it all game as to why I got her like a silky blanket that wasn't like staying on.
Oh,
That's all they.
guys,
It was all they had.
that's all
There's
you
nothing I could
got.
do about it. That's all you
Yeah.
got. Should have brought the hand warmer.
Yeah. I remember when I was a kid, we went to a game in Municipal. It was I'd have to go back and check what time it was. I know it was definitely dark by the time we left, so I could probably find the game. But it was like the Leroy Horde and Metcalf year, so it must have been like 93 ish.
Yeah, 93, 94.
I think I went to like 3 games in '93, and it was a night. It was a night game. It snowed a little bit, just like flurries, but like a
Right.
really kind of nice flurry that was just really cool watching it come in at night with all the lights on. And I remember that game just wearing all like like 3 layers of pants, like long
Right.
johns, sweatpants, and then snow pants, like that you'd
Right.
wear skiing,
Right.
and then boots with like the hand warmer, like the little packet hand warmer things, like stuffed in there.
Yeah.
And then gloves with like hand warmers in there, and still being chilled like to the bone in that stadium, and just being like, and we knew it. We're like, we're gonna suffer through this one, guys.
Yeah.
This isn't gonna be an easy game. And plus, we were in the upper deck, so we had to deal with the stupid rafters, and but luckily, I think some of the stadium cleared out at one point, so we actually like crept down a little bit and just get out of the wind, get out of the way of the raft. Actually, I might have been like right next to one of the rafters, like to cut some of the wind that was like coming in. And I just remember that. And we won the game, and it was a big game. It was like a really important one at that point. But yeah, guys, this is embarrassing at this point that I have not been to First Energy yet. And I can make all the excuses in the world, like, yes, I had 3 kids and blah 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 blah.
This was gonna be the year for you, though.
Yes,
and you got derailed.
100%. I was gonna take you up. I was gonna be like, Mike, there's gonna be one game that like you're gonna have a ticket, at some point, because you don't make it all of them, right?
No.
And even so, even if you're like, hey, my wife can't make it, I would have taken a flight up there. And my dad, I keep telling him, like, Dad, we gotta go back. We gotta go back to Cleveland. We gotta go. But he's like, he had surgery this year, so he was like, I don't know if I can make it, and a little bit tougher walking and stuff. Yeah. Dude, he's 72 years old. But then meanwhile, he plays back-to-back rounds of golf like the last 2 days, and he's playing again on Saturday. So it's like, I think he could do it. American Saxon asks, he owns 2 1970s Browns beach towels.
Nice.
Yeah, those are pretty nice. You probably get a pretty penny on the old eBay.
eBay, yeah.
I keep looking. I don't know about you. Did you have the Browns starter jackets, like the Belichick starter jackets when you were a kid? The Browns ones. So, because they had a couple. I think I had 3 or 4 of them when I was a kid, and the first couple of them were like the full zip down. One of them.
I had the buttons.
The snap button one?
Yeah.
Okay, so like so I had the starter.
I know which one you're talking about.
one,
the
thick
pullover
one
with the little
Yeah, so there are 2. I had either 1 or 2 of those. I think just 1, and it was the one that like is commonly shown with Belichick, because they actually made a couple versions of that. So I had that one, and then I had 1 or 2 of the ones that were just straight down. That had one of them actually had a Browns helmet on the back, and the other one just said Browns. It was a brown jacket, and on the back, embroidered, it just said Browns. It was starter jacket.
I think I might have had that one when I was, and it had like the zipper hood that you could like zip it all the ways down and flapped in the back.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right on it. And I keep getting the itch every year to like go back and just buy. But it's kind of weird, like when you buy old clothing, or especially like old jackets that have been sitting in like some Northeast Ohio closet for like 30 years. Like
that little scent to it.
Yeah, and you can't get it out.
You can't get it out.
I think so. My dad. This is an interesting one. My dad actually met a guy in Delaware and ended up buying off of Facebook Marketplace an old Browns parka jacket, like a big thick jacket, and because he saw that I was like looking for like one of the old Browns ones. And he's like, I think this is one of that you had. I was like, no. I was like, he gave it to me as a gift, and I was like, I've never even seen this. I didn't even know this existed. And it was I think it might have been like an Apex. Remember that brand? It might have been an Apex one. And so what it turned out,
Puma made them back in the day too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Reebok made them. It was just like weird. But this one actually was from one of the this was a son of a guy who coached for the Browns, who it was a team issued jacket. I still have it. I have it upstairs. I haven't really broken. It doesn't get all that cold. It will get cold in Florida for like a month, and I'll break it out then. But he gave it to me afterwards, and but it was really nice and thick, and then I still have the homage one. The classic brown with the Browns in the front.
Yeah.
And they just came out with a new one this year in orange.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and
I have too many jackets. I literally have Browns sweatshirts, shirts, the warm-up pants still in the wrappers.
And I haven't even broken them out.
In COVID world, like I don't even know, like we joke like we get dressed up to go to Lowe's, you know?
Right, right. Yeah, I sometimes I'm like it's something because I do conference calls all day long, and I'm like, I think I can get away with it like wearing the same shirt 2 days in a row, but three is where it's like, have you been wearing that since Monday? Like, switch it out, right? So, because I'm just like sitting here. I work from home. I drop the kids off in the morning. That's like the extent of like my outdoor life at this point,
Right.
and been able to avoid COVID, thank God. And but yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. It's like I've gotten so many shirts from Homage and Sabo Apparel, and I've been buying the GV art ones. They have no affiliation with the show or the channel or Twitter or anything, but they're just cool. Like
Yeah, I
they're
just got the Cardiac Kids one.
I just got that one for my dad. I just bought him.
Yeah.
He had a birthday, so I'd been seeing cool stuff about the Browns. So I
Right.
got him that crazy like big straw hat,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
he could
yeah.
wear for because he's fishing now in Delaware.
Right.
And how far away are you from Bethany, by the way?
Not far, like an hour.
Oh, is it now? Okay, because I was
A
asking
little
my.
bit, probably a little bit further because Bethany is a little past Dewey and Rehoboth. I don't know, probably like an hour and 10 minutes, hour
Okay,
and
'cause I
15.
remember I
Yeah.
couldn't remember because he was like, hey, where's Rustano live? And I was like, he's in Delaware. He's like, oh, I didn't know he's in Delaware. How far away is he? I was like, I don't know. I think it's like 20 minutes. I was like, I was like, I mean, you can
Depending
pretty
on how
much get
fast I
anywhere in
drive.
Delaware in 20 minutes, right? I mean, the whole state's like that big.
Yeah, it takes
Like,
about 2.5 to go the whole distance, and then 45 minutes across at its biggest spot,
God, that's crazy. I
widest
mean,
spot, I should say.
even in Pennsylvania, like it's so weird being up north because you can probably get to New York City quickly, Philadelphia quickly, DC, Baltimore.
Oh yeah, we're
You can
like
get
30,
anywhere.
35 from Philly. Um, it takes us like just under an hour to get to Baltimore. DC's like 2 hours. New York's 2 hours. So yeah, I mean we're like centralized,
In the Northeast. Yeah.
get in the Northeast and get everywhere
Yeah, I
relatively
mean,
fast.
and that's kind of how it was in well. So in Central PA, like outside of Harrisburg, where I grew up, it was like an hour and a half. It should have been like an hour and 45, but I could make it to Baltimore easily in an hour and a half.
It
Just
would be like an
screaming.
hour from us, Harrisburg.
Yeah, so just screaming along. I could get pretty much wherever I wanted, but it was like Pittsburgh was like 3 hours. Philadelphia was an hour and a half. Baltimore was an hour and a half. DC was 2 hours. I mean, it was just like. So I went to school and in the summertime, my friends from college who lived in Northern Virginia were like, "Hey, we're having a party tonight." They just call and be like, "Hey, you want to come?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I get off work at 5. I'll be there like 8. Like, I just drive to DC, and like it was just like no problem." But now, like where I am in Florida, it's like, man, to get out of the state, it's like 5 hours just to drive
Right,
north out of the damn state. And when I was in South Florida, like you literally couldn't. You had to
right,
fly. It's like
right,
it's crazy. Just to get to Jacksonville from South Florida, it's like 8 hours. To get to Tallahassee, it's like 12. And you're still in the same state,
right,
right? So yeah, but the nice thing is like I only live about 15 minutes from the airport here in Orlando. I mean, it's right down the street.
right,
So and everybody flies direct into Orlando because of Disney, right? So I can get
right,
anywhere easily.
right.
Um, I think a flight to Cleveland is probably only like 2.5 hours. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't think
for
it's.
us, it's like by the time we get in the air, we're landing.
Oh, it's
Like
just
you're
like up and
literally in
down.
the air for like 35 minutes, maybe.
Oh, dude, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
That's like if I would fly from. How long does it take you to drive to Cleveland if you had to drive?
about 6.
Oh, okay. But it's not because if you could drive from point A to point B in a line, it would be shorter. But you got to what do you take the
Yeah,
Pennsylvania
because
Turnpike?
yeah, like we'll either take the turnpike, so you got to go up to the blue route
Yeah,
and
and
then
then
across.
across.
And then there's another way that it takes us sometimes, which sometimes a little bit quicker,
Mhm.
where it takes us down into Maryland and then up almost like I think it might be
Was it 95 that you go up?
West Virginia we're in for like a second,
Yeah, and then you
and
go up.
then
Do you go up
and
past
then you go
Columbus?
no, because you wind up you come back into PA after you go down into Maryland, you cross into West Virginia, and then it's like straight
Straight up.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, it used to take us quite a long time to get to Cleveland from Harrisburg. I got to go back and
It's crazy too.
do a map quest on that. They still
Like a
have
map quest.
that. I have to go map
Like this.
quest it.
Like this. Oh my God! Hold on. Where are we at? No. One more
It's like, did
Kids
you miss?
will never know.
Did you miss the turn? Did you miss
kids
it?
will never know.
I don't know. Yeah, you actually have to like pay attention when you're driving.
Yeah.
Couldn't just follow the little dot.
You got to go to AAA and get the triptych.
You got to get the map, and you got to map it out. You got to plan ahead, maybe the night before.
Yeah.
Now I literally get in my car and I'm like, okay, Google, take me to blah 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 blah. Oh great! Now my phone's like, what
Here's a result from search.
did you say something to me? I'm here.
The worst part of getting somewhere now, if you're using like Waze or whatever, is deciding if you're actually going to go with their recommendation of going 95 as opposed to 13 to 95. Like that's your dilemma.
Yeah. Are you gonna go rogue, or are you gonna follow what the technology tells you to do?
Exactly.
But yeah, I gotta get up there. I want to take my dad up there. I want to take, so this is the year that my wife is gonna travel a lot too, because now my mother-in-law's here, so we can watch the baby and the kids and everything.
Right.
So we're like, hey, if I have a business trip in Nashville, we'll go to Nashville, or if we want to go to Jacksonville, or blah blah blah, wherever I go, she could go and we could, hang out and do all that kind of stuff. And this year just shot. I wanted to go up to New York for one of those back-to-back Jets Giants games. I would have been up for that.
We were planning on it.
I think I am going to go to the Jags game though. My dad keeps harping on that, and it's fine. It's just like another away game for me. Like it's another away football game for me, and it's going to be tough because I want to do the post game show so bad, because the numbers we're getting are great, and they're consistently growing. We're building an audience. We got this great group of people that are showing up for each one of our shows, and like it's a consistent thing. You got to be more consistent with it. To see guys that are growing their channels like crazy, like Quincy's up to like 18,000 subscribers. I'm like, wow. Dude, that dude he's gonna get his play button like real soon. Like that's gonna come quick for him. And it's not like in a competition any means. Like I look up to that dude. But I learn from what he's doing, and he's just really consistent about putting out really good content. And it's funny because I wake up in the morning. I have like this new routine. I wake up in the morning, kids are getting ready and all that stuff, drinking coffee and having breakfast, and I just put on YouTube, and like usually Quincy's got some new video up there, and I'm like, all right, let me just see what he's got to say. 16 minutes of like, talking about the Browns-Steelers rivalry. I'm like, I can get this is perfect for me. Like starting off the morning with somebody talking at me about the Browns. It's like this conversation that I don't have to participate in. I just have to like listen to it, drinking coffee. So it's so great. But there aren't that many people that are doing commentary like this about the Browns. There's like we were talking about a little bit earlier with the hype videos and stuff. Because one of the things I'm trying to do now is I don't want to do something that somebody else has done,
Right.
And the one that I did for the Van Halen the Right Now song.
Yeah.
So somebody ended up
killer.
So thank you. Somebody ended up putting that on Reddit. I had a falling out with a Reddit mod, so I don't post my stuff there anymore. But some people have been
said something about that.
Yeah. People have been posting my stuff over there, which I always think is fun because I still go. I just don't participate in the site.
Right.
But it's cool when I see that. And somebody posted that the Browns back in '93 did a Right Now hype video. The Browns did it with like Metcalf, and like they're sitting there. They have these like highlights and stuff like that, and then some cheesy like cut to him where he's like, "Right now," with all the players. And I was like, "Huh." I thought I was being pretty original like that, but I was like, no, somebody came up with the idea like 30 years ago. But there's a lot of channels out there. My point is, there's a lot of channels out there that are doing like hype videos now, and they're doing like highlight videos, right? And I'm just trying to be somewhat unique with it. When I come up with an idea, I want to make sure that it's I'm never accused of like stealing somebody else's idea. Like that'd be the worst thing in the world. But yeah, so that's kind of what's going on, man. So you think we're gonna win? You think we're gonna win by It's gonna be close, 4 or 5 points, which is right in line
4
with
or
the.
5 points.
I think I'm never gonna pick against the Browns. Like I'm never gonna be like a Cleveland.com writer. Like,
Right.
yeah, it's gonna be 24-24.
That's it.
Take it to the bank.
Nobody wins, nobody loses. You're good.
Yeah, just everybody tie. Everybody gets a participation trophy for the Browns Steelers game. Watch we do tie. Watch we.
Oh my god.
Watch we do.
I mean, that could be a whole nother show because that would be like a victory. It's better than a loss.
Yeah, because we did tie a couple years ago. Remember?
Yeah.
We did. I think if we win, it's gonna be another nail biter, and it'll be real close. And I think it'll come down to a field goal at the end, where like we win by a point. Like it'll come down to like them missing a field goal or like going for 2 and not getting it, which opens up this weird scoring opportunity where we go down and it's just like, they've got 25 points and we've got 23,
right.
And we go down and we kick a field goal and Parkey hits like a 42-yarder into the wind. And we get it, and it's just like, boom, celebration, 5-1. But it'll be a nail biter the whole way. It won't be mistake-free football. But one thing I will say is we're not getting a lot of penalties, so I really do like the disciplined style of football we're playing. That's really good. That's different. That's a different feeling. Yeah, right, Stefan. That is a Stefanski thing. That's what I've been complaining about for the last couple of years with Hugh Jackson and Greg Williams and Freddie. It's just that there was no discipline there. But I think it's gonna be a close game. And this is a statement game. It's either gonna be really bad or it's gonna be close and we lose and we feel still kind of good about it. Or it's gonna be I don't think it's gonna be like the Dallas game where we just light them up. But I will say, I know we gotta run, so I don't want to take too much. But do we play any other games in a dome? Because it seems like we're fast, right? Browns. Is the Texans game at home or away? Texans are home.
Yep.
Jags are at Jags Titans. That's a grass surface. Is New York is artificial, right?
It's artificial. That turf's terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. So we get back-to-back turf games.
Yep.
So maybe there was some extra speed there. But yeah. So now we got Steelers, which hopefully we win. I think we can take care of the Bengals after what they did against the Ravens. I think we can smack them around again. Yeah. Joe Burrow is on pace to get sacked 70 times.
Crazy.
70. Like he's gonna die. And then we got some more stuff. So cool, man. Thank you again for joining. Thank you for being a great Wednesday guest. A guest host. Let me just call it that. Call it what it is. I really appreciate you coming on the show and talking about the Browns. We only went 2 hours and 8 minutes, so we're cutting back a little bit slowly. Hopefully your wife is
we're getting there.
Hopefully your wife is going to be okay with that. I know I told my wife, I was like, I think we're shooting for like 45 minutes this time. Yeah. And thanks everybody for tuning in. We got all the guys, all our Patreon guys and a couple new ones. D Flat, David Evan Smith, SZ, Chucky Martin, Tim Oat, Sandman, American Saxon. You're a regular. Guts, hey Guts, you're back. What's up, dude? I know Gary Washington was in chat for a while. Biscuits and Gravy, those guys. Max Nikolenko was here too. I don't know if he's still in chat. But appreciate everybody. Appreciate everybody sticking in here, and anybody listening after the fact. Check out William Ali. William Ali is a guy who works for Tim Ali Realty. So use a phone number that's on there. Sabo Apparel as well. We're giving away Sabo stuff. Homage, and then the new sponsor, Schlegel Law. So check out all the sponsors. They help us out. Join the Patreon below if you want to give us $1. Your name will be on the bottom ticker there, and it helps out. Just $1. You can do so much. What is that like? What's that like? Not even. It's like 7 cents a day. To help out. To help out a YouTube channel in need. Come on.
An infomercial just broke out.
Yeah. So thanks, guys. We appreciate everybody. And Michael, I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, no, that's it's exciting. Got the Steelers this week. What better time could we have than on a middle of the week Wednesday to talk Browns? So I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to next week, and I'm really looking forward to Sunday when I crash the
post game,
the Brownie post game show. Because
dude, you're always welcome on. We don't have to win.
We got the W.
We'll bring you on. We'll bring you on. Rain or shine.
This could be. I mean, let's see what happens. I'm feeling good. The last time I felt good, though, we don't want to talk about the last time I felt good. This is a different kind of feeling good.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
This is we earned this feeling, right? This is one thing
I think we did. I mean, we've shed a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to get to this point. So
and other stuff, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
So other bodily fluids have come out because of it.
We can bask in this right now. But like you said, thanks for everybody, participating, listening out there during it, and those that will listen after. So
yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Mike. Everybody, hit the like button too, help us out, and follow both me. I'm at Mike Killy, and follow Mike Restano at Bonzo1273 on Twitter, and we will see you guys next week.